I would like to extend a warm welcome to members of the Council, officers and members of the public and press in attendance at this Council meeting of the 6th of December 2021. Welcome to those who may be watching the meeting live on YouTube. I am Councillor Derek Tipp, Chairman of the Council. Please note that this meeting is being broadcast live on the Council's website and on YouTube. It will remain available for a minimum of 12 months. I would remind those in attendance to use your microphone when speaking and remember to switch it off once you have finished speaking. Please switch any mobile devices to a silent setting for the duration of the meeting. We will start with our usual moment's silence. Chief Executive, do you have any apologies to report?
Thank you. Apologies for absence have been received from Councillors Blunden, Carpenter, Mark Clark, Duke, England, Glass, Gossage, Hopkins, Reid, Jack Davis and Councillor Osborne. Are there any other apologies?
Don't appear to be.
I think that's all.
Agenda item 1, the minutes. Do members agree the minutes of the meeting held on the 11th of October 2021 as a correct record? Agreed. Thank you. That's agenda item 2, declarations of interests. Are there any declarations of interest in connection with an agenda item for this meeting? No, there are none. Thank you. Agenda item 3, Chairman's announcements. Former Councillor and Chairman Les Puttock. Members, it is with great sadness that we learned of the recent passing of former Councillor and Chairman Les Puttock. Les represented the Ashurst, Copythorne South and Netley Marsh ward from 2003 until he stood down in May 2019. He was my ward partner and also a friend. Les sat on many committees during his time with NFDC, including the Appeals Committee for the whole time he was a councillor, as well as serving on the General Purposes and Licensing Committee, which he also chaired, the Leisure Review Panel and Planning Development Control Committee. He represented the council on various outside bodies with a particular interest in road safety, serving on the New Forest Road Safety Council from 2007 to 2011, when it then became the Road Safety Council, which Les continued to serve on until he stood down in 2019. Most notably, Les was the council's vice chairman for the year 2008-9 and the chairman of the council for the year 2009-10. Members, I would like to express our sincere condolences to Les's family and friends and place on record this council's thanks for the eminent service he has given to this district. Councillor.
Yes, Chairman, thank you. I remember when Les Puttock joined the council all those years ago, and I always found him a very nice person to deal with, very pleasurable, and like many members, or all members of this, I would hope, really worked hard for his community and was a good local councillor. And he was a good chairman. He will be remembered.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much. Engagements. Members, on the 11th of November, Armistice Day, at Appletree Court, I laid a wreath alongside the leader and representatives from 17 Port and Maritime Regiment, RLC, and HQ Solent Station. On the 14th of November, I represented the district at the Remembrance Sunday commemorations, along with the Deputy Lieutenant and the leader of the council at the service, parade and wreath laying in Lyndhurst. On the 15th of November, I attended the AGM for the New Forest MenCap as honorary president. On the 16th of November, I attended the laying up of the old colours for the 1st Battalion of the Princess of Wales Regiment, held at Winchester Cathedral. On the 19th of November, I attended the Bewley Estate dinner at the invitation of Lord and Lady Montague. On the 2nd of December, I attended the New Forest Brilliance in Business Awards at Brockenhurst College. My thanks to the Vice Chairman, who on the 28th of November attended the annual civic service at the Priory Church of St Mary the Virgin, Havant, hosted by the Mayor and Consort of Havant. Members, I'm sure you would all like to join me in formally welcoming our new Chief Executive, Kate Ryan, to her first full council meeting. Welcome, Kate. Agenda item 4, leaders' announcements. Leader of the council, do you have any announcements?
I do, thank you, Chairman. Members, the Solent Freeport Board submitted its outline business case plus on Friday the 26th of November. The business case is now being evaluated by the Department for Levelling Up Housing and Communities and HM Treasury, and we are hopeful that we will see notification of approval during the first week of January. Once approval has been given, the full business case will need to be worked up, and this council will have a key role to play in its approval and in the preparation of a full business case to be submitted in March 2022. Arts Council England. I'm delighted to let you know that we have been notified only at the end of last week that working with our partners, Energise Me, Folio, the Handy Trust and the National Park, that we've been awarded between £750,000 and £1 million over the next 3 years from Art Council England Creative People and Places Fund for our Culture in Common initiative. This will help to develop a thriving community-driven art scene that connects and celebrates the disparate communities in the New Forest district. The programme will learn from, inspire and enable communities to enjoy, commission and create their own artistic opportunities. The Culture in Common vision is to spark cultural engagement across the district through a sustainable and inclusive cultural offer led by the people who live there. In addition, for 21-22, I'm pleased to announce that we have an agreement in principle from Arts Council England to jointly fund an officer on a fixed-term project as a result of being identified as a priority place. This role will help us identify opportunities to build on the great work that the arts and cultural communities in the forest already deliver. And finally, members, it is Colin's last full council meeting again. I am certain that I speak for all members in expressing our gratitude to Colin for taking on the role of our interim chief executive in August. Supported by our excellent executive management team, he has skillfully guided the organisation over the last 3 months. Members, after consulting with the Leader of the Opposition, I am pleased to announce that we will be adding Colin's name to the board in the main stairwell in recognition of the service that he has done. Chairman, that concludes my announcement. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Agenda item 5, reports of the Cabinet. Leader, would you first move the adoption of the report of the Cabinet dated the 3rd of November 2021?
Chairman, pleased to move.
Councillor Cleary, would you like to second?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I will second.
I will call each paragraph number in the report to see if any member wishes to speak. There are no recommendations for council in this report. First, paragraph 1, parking standards supplementary planning document. Okay. Paragraph 2, maintaining waste and recycling collection services. No. Paragraph 3, financial monitoring. And finally, paragraph 4, appointments to outside body, New Forest National Park Authority.
Thank you, Chairman. It's Councillor Harrison.
Yes.
Chairman, I think it would be remiss of the council not to acknowledge the work of Councillor Barry Rickman as a member of the National Park Authority. He did that job for a many number of years. He was a key member of the planning committee and worked tirelessly in that role. And he was also very supportive of the partnership plan, which you will know involves not just the district council, but the county council, Forestry England, and a number of other organisations. And I think he made a very significant contribution, and the Park Authority really benefited by his experience. And I hope members will agree that we should record that fact. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Harrison. Thank you very much. Right. Members, I trust that report is received and accepted. Thank you. Leader, would you now move the adoption of the report of the Cabinet dated 1st of December 2021?
Pleased to move, Chairman.
Councillor Cleary, would you like to second?
Yes, delighted to second.
I will call each paragraph number in the report to see if any member wishes to speak. There are recommendations for council at paragraphs 1, 2, 3 and 4. Paragraph 1, medium-term financial plan.
Thank you, Chairman. Some clarification, really, because at the Cabinet meeting, which I attended, and which for some reason hasn't got in this part of it, the Cabinet agreed to bring in a virtual clock system to make savings for the council. Very commendable. And they were going to raise the price of the clock to cover the cost for bringing this in. Now, I asked how much it was going to be raised, and the answer was nobody seemed to know. So can I have clarification? Because this council was already in September agreed to raise parking clocks by a figure. Can you confirm that that is the figure to cover this cost, and there isn't going to be a further price hike because you're already putting a £20, £25 clock up 20%? The residents of the New Forest are going to have to pay because there's no public transport and you've got to use their cars and you've got to park in the car park. Thank you.
Councillor Heron, you want to respond to that?
Chairman, thank you. Obviously, we set our fees and charges in the usual way every year, and car parking charges will go to the portfolio in the appropriate way. But I can confirm that the £5 increase in the parking charges should be sufficient to cover any changes to how we do that. But obviously, again, in the normal way, the portfolio holder will consider fees and charges at the appropriate time.
Thank you very much. Okay, paragraph 2, council tax empty homes premium and care leaver disregard. Okay. Paragraph 3, council tax reduction scheme 2022 to 23. Paragraph 4, council tax 2022 to 23, setting the tax base. And paragraph 5, outside bodies appointments. Finally, paragraph 6, additional meeting date. Okay. Members, the report and recommendations have been moved and seconded. All those in favour, please indicate. Thank you. Thank you. Any against? No, I don't see any. That confirms that. It's passed then. Agenda item 6, report of the Audit Committee. Councillor O'Sullivan, would you move the adoption of the report of the Audit Committee dated 29th of October 2021?
Please move the motion as shown.
Councillor Lane, would you second that?
Please second that, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is a single item report recommending the adoption of refreshed policies for anti-fraud, bribery and corruption, whistleblowing and anti-money laundering. Does any member wish to speak? No. Members, the report and recommendation have been moved and seconded. All those in favour, please indicate. Thank you very much. Any against? None. That is confirmed. That is passed. Agenda item 7, report of General Purposes and Licensing Committee. Councillor Steve Clark, would you move the adoption of the report of the General Purposes and Licensing Committee dated the 22nd of November 2021?
Happy to do so, Chairman, with the recommendations on each of the paragraphs.
Thank you very much. Councillor Tungate, would you like to second that?
Happy to do so.
Thank you very much. I will call each of the paragraph numbers in the report to see if any member wishes to speak. Paragraph 1, Licensing Act Policy. No. Paragraph 2, Gambling Policy. Okay. Members, the report and recommendations have been moved and seconded. All those in favour, please indicate. Thank you very much. Any against? No, I see none. That report is also passed then. Thank you very much. On to agenda item 8, report of the Human Resources Committee. Leader of the Council, would you move the adoption of the report of the HR Committee dated 23rd of November 2021?
Chairman, pleased to move.
Councillor Harris, would you like to second this? I will call each of the paragraph numbers in the report to see if any member wishes to speak. Paragraph 1, Pay Policy Statement. Paragraph 2, Change to Local Terms and Conditions, Sickness Entitlement and Continuous Service. Paragraph 3, Domestic Abuse Supporting Employees Policy. Okay. Members, the report and recommendations have been moved and seconded. All those in favour, please indicate. Thank you. Any against? None. That has also been passed. Agenda item 9, questions under Standing Order 22. There are none. Agenda item 10, questions to portfolio holders.
Chairman, if I may, questions under Standing Order 22.
Yes.
I'd like to make the point that in all the years I've been a district councillor, which is probably far too long, to my knowledge, thank you, Merry Christmas. In all my years, I've never known a question to be asked under this agenda item. Isn't it time that we removed it from the agenda? It doesn't preclude the possibility that someone may wish to take advantage at a future date, but it does seem a nonsense to have this on the agenda for every full council meeting when we never actually get one.
Well, we'll have a look at it and we'll consider removing it. I don't know. Thank you very much for your contribution, Councillor Harrison. We'll certainly look at it. Right, item 10. I was just moving on. You've thrown me there. Questions to portfolio holders under Standing Order 22A. Members, there are 6 questions. I would remind you that standing orders allow for a maximum of 30 minutes in total for questions. Any questions that fall outside of the time limit will be dealt with in writing. And any member asking a question who is not in attendance will have their question dealt with in writing. Each question shall be put and answered without discussion. Each portfolio holder has a total of 3 minutes to reply. I will invite each member who has asked a question, if they have one supplementary question, which should be dealt with in a maximum of 2 minutes. Right, we have then question 1 from Councillor Caroline Rackham to the portfolio holder for partnering and wellbeing, Councillor Geoffrey Blunden. And this question is to be answered by Councillor Heron because Councillor Blunden is not here. you like to go ahead with your question?
Thank you. In our area, violence without injury has risen by 419 incidents, or 20%. Theft from vehicles is up 158 incidents. And rape has increased by 32 incidents. These are appalling statistics, made even worse by the fact that this period covers part of the 2 major lockdowns. I wonder if the portfolio holder can explain exactly what is being done to stop local crime figures rising even further than they have over the past year and support our police to do their job properly.
Councillor Heron.
Chairman, thank you. The prevention and detection of crime within the district is primarily the responsibility of the constabulary. And I am pleased that Donna Jones, the Hampshire and Isle of Wight's Police and Crime Commissioner, has placed an additional 600 uniformed officers by 2023. Through the Safer New Forest Strategy and Delivery Group, the Council brings together key partner agencies, including the police, probation, adult services, Hampshire Fire and Rescue and Health Services. Members of these organisations recognise the importance of working together in a coordinated manner, utilising resources to focus on both prevention, education and post-conviction interventions. To obtain a greater understanding of the emerging trends and vulnerabilities, the Council's Community Safety Team compiles an annual strategic assessment of crime and disorder in our area using data provided by our partners, which is published on the Safer New Forest website. The crime data referred to within the 2020 assessment is captured from the period of April the 1st, 2019 until March the 31st, 2020, and therefore covers only 5 days of the first lockdown. The 2020 assessment formulated the annual priorities which are published in the Partnership Plan of 2021 and cover 4 high-level priorities: children at risk, drug and alcohol related harm, domestic abuse, and prevention of risk of exploitation of vulnerable people. The published Partnership Plan outlines the target work activities and progress being undertaken by the Council and our partners in addressing these priority areas. Each priority has a designated lead agency from within the strategic partnership who oversee the delivery of the action plan. It is through the continued combined effort of the Safer New Forest partners that we are able to drive and affect change with the responsible bodies and authorities, providing additional resource and support. It is with this combined and shared responsibility that we continue to endeavour to make the New Forest a safe place to live, work and visit. Thank you, Chairman.
Do you have a supplementary?
I do, thank you. That's wonderful that we will see more police officers. That's fantastic. And I'm also constantly being told what a wonderful job the Safer Communities team do, which is great, but something is not working currently. In order to fix that, is it not possible for us to further support the police with more staff in the Safer Communities team? I understand there's only 2 staff, is that right at the moment?
Chair, I would have to ask Councillor Bunton on the team. I believe actually it might be slightly more than that. But Chair, I think the main point I would make is we have to support those agencies in the delivery of their objectives, and I think we ably do that. Whether that's through our CCTV, whether that's our working with partners to analyse the trends, try and develop those priority areas, and of course working with our communities to understand their priorities. But I think a lot of this is a police priority. I was interested to see that the Police and Crime Commissioner has recently published her community strategy. And all I can do is assure you that we will continue to work and support them as best that we can. Thank you.
Thank you very much. On to question number 2 from Councillor Alex Way to the portfolio holder for business, tourism and high streets, Councillor Michael Harris. Councillor Way.
Good evening. Our own colleagues employed by the council have worked very differently over the pandemic, and of course considering how best to moving forward as our businesses right across the New Forest district. Could the portfolio holder please explain what is being done to support businesses in the area to adjust to working practices at this difficult time? Thank you.
Thank you. The council has given businesses across the district direct support through the award of grants through ARG, Additional Restrictions Grants, and the New Forest Rural Resilience and Rural SME grant schemes. The council has allocated £37.5 million in grants to over 2,500 recipient businesses. We continue to communicate with over 3,600 businesses each week through our business e-news. This includes raising awareness of specific initiatives, training and support offered by partner organisations. One of these is the Solent LEP, which provides advice and support on different ways of working for those businesses that are needing support in this area. The benefits of this work have been noted by the Solent LEP, and they have reported high levels of uptake of these initiatives from New Forest businesses. Of course, most businesses have direct access to their own advisors, such as accountants, solicitors, bank managers, financial advisors and consultants, to name but a few. I must return to my point about the 3,600 businesses who subscribe to our free weekly business e-news. This does leave 4,400 businesses in the district who have not yet signed up for this valuable service. I would therefore take this opportunity to encourage them to visit the NFDC website and ensure that they hear about all business news, grants and information in the most effective and timely way. And finally, I must thank Councillor Alex Wade for providing me with this opportunity to publicise this valuable yet free of charge service for New Forest businesses. Thank you.
Do you have a supplementary?
No, Chairman. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much then. Move on to question number 3 from Councillor Keith Craze to the portfolio holder for planning, regeneration and infrastructure, Councillor Diane Andrews. Councillor Craze.
Thank you, Chair. I understand that the council has received a request from the New Forest Recreation Management Steering Group to consider the introduction of a PSPO to help tackle the feeding of livestock, lighting of fires and barbecues and out of control dogs in the open forest. What steps has the portfolio holder taken to consider this request? Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just start, Councillor Craze, in explaining that a PSPO, for those who don't know what it is a public spaces protection order. We have received that request from the New Forest Recreation Management Steering Group. Initial investigations looked at how these orders are being used elsewhere. We've had a number of discussions with other councils who are presently using these powers. Officers are working closely with Forestry England, and there are ongoing discussions to agree, if the PSPOs are made, how they would be monitored and enforced. It is critical that there is a full understanding of the resources needed to manage any PSPOs and a full understanding of the measures that need to be in place once a PSPO is served. The PSPO can be enforced by the police, council enforcement officers, or any other authorised officers. Now, without adequate resources to enforce an order, we will not achieve the outcome that the RMS has identified. The Council will continue to work closely with Forestry England to progress this work. I have set up a member panel so that progress on what is a complex project can be reported back on a regular basis. I am sure that you, Councillor Craze, and the rest of the Council will be hearing more from me on this matter over the coming months as work progresses. I am pleased with the progress that has been made to date and confident that through strong partnership working, we will reduce the impact that unwanted behaviour is having on the environment of the district. Thank you.
Councillor Craze, you have a supplementary?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Chair. Can I just ask, many residents and visitors enjoy walking their dogs responsibly off-lead in the open forest. Can the portfolio holder assure members that any PSPO, if taken forward, will only target those who are not in control of their dogs and will not seek to stop off-lead walking? Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Craze, I can confirm categorically that we will only target those people who are not in control of their dogs. We will not seek to stop off-lead dog walking. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. So we're moving on now to question number 4 from Councillor David Hawkins to the portfolio holder for Environment and Coastal Services, Councillor Steve Davis. Councillor Hawkins.
Thank you, Chairman. There is a significant amount of work being carried out on the Milford seafront again. Is this more emergency work? And can you please inform me who is paying the bill?
Thank you, Councillor Hawkins, for your question. The work currently being undertaken at Milford-on-Sea is maintenance of the timber groins. This is being undertaken as part of the annual planned maintenance programme on our coastal defence assets. It is not emergency works and is being funded through the Council's coastal maintenance budget. I would add that a point of interest, Chairman, is that the timbers being used were access to requirements at BCP, who offered them to us free of charge. I like to think of this as an excellent example of collaboration between Christchurch-based strategy partners. Thank you.
Excellent. Do you have a supplementary?
No, I don't. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. Right. On to question number 5 from Councillor Neil Tungate to the portfolio holder for Environment and Coastal Services, Councillor Steve Davis.
Thank you, Chairman. We're aware that Hurst Castle is undergoing some significant restoration. Can you explain when the work will be completed and will it endure further extreme weather and rising sea levels?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Tungate. It's a good question, actually. The work being carried out to the castle defences is being led by English Heritage, as I think we all know now. The council doesn't have full oversight of their work programme, but is aware of the next phase of their planned works, which will commence in the near future. I don't have exact dates yet, but it's next year. This will involve importing further shingle and rebuilding of the temporary rock structure around the east wing. I'm not in a position to comment on the long-term viability of the defence works, though. But I would add that the coastal officers were invited to visit the site and viewed the resin injection process being used to stabilise the foundations. I'm no civil engineer, as you know, Neil, but perhaps this 21st century solution might offer protection at other historic sites elsewhere. Who knows? In considering the wider strategic approach to the future management of this area, the council is engaging with English Heritage and others, and many others who own the land at Hurst Spit, to consider options for future management of this area. Any works will be designed taking into account the impact of climate change. Hurst Spit itself is being considered across both coastal strategies currently in progress across our coastal frontage, and these are Christchurch Bay strategy and the Hurst to Lymington strategy. Thank you, Chairman.
You have a supplementary?
No, I don't. Just thank you for a very comprehensive answer.
Thank you very much. And finally, we move to question 6 from Councillor Emma Lane to the Leader of the Council, Councillor Edward Heron.
Thank you, Chairman. Leader, following the decision of the Council on the 11th of October to support the campaign for the introduction of average speed cameras on the B3078, the Roger Penny Way, can the Leader please provide an update on what steps have been taken to progress this important issue?
Chairman, thank you. Following the council meeting, I wrote to the official Verderer Police and Crime Commissioner and the Leader of the County Council requesting a meeting to agree how this may be progressed. This has now been arranged to take place in January and will include representatives of the National Park Authority, Forestry England and Natural England. This meeting will bring together senior representatives of all the statutory organisations required to deliver an average speed camera system: police, highways authority, landowner, planning and regulatory authorities. I'm confident that this will be a significant step forward in tackling the high number of animal casualties on this road. Chairman, I would just like to take this opportunity to express my thanks to the police for their Operation Mountie. Working with partners, including this council, last week this operation on the B3078 and 79 saw the camera van catch 53 drivers exceeding the speed limit, including one caught overtaking at over 50 miles an hour. In addition, one car was seized for being driven without a valid licence, and another driver reported for not having insurance. 10 other drivers were spoken to and educated on the importance of staying under the speed limit within the forest.
Thank you very much. Do you have a supplementary?
Only, please, can I come to that meeting?
Okay, right, so we're finished with that item now. So we're moving on to agenda item 11, review and allocation of seats to committees and panels. Leader, will you move the adoption of the recommendations in the report circulated with the agenda?
Chairman, pleased to move the recommendation.
And Councillor Cleary, I understand you will second.
Yes, of course I will. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, the report deals with two proposed changes to the Council's governance arrangements and the allocation of seats to committees and panels. I will take recommendation 1.1 first, that the number of seats on the Planning Committee be reduced from 20 to 16. Does any member wish to speak? Councillor Wade.
Chairman, the reason the authority has to go to this level is because not enough members attend the meeting. So it's always a large number of people giving apologies. And I confess, Chairman, that I've had to miss some meetings which clashes with other authorities. So I've been a bit open-minded about it. But actually, we should do better, shouldn't we? We shouldn't have to reduce the number because you can't get enough people to go. And I can honestly say, Chairman, that that is a fundamental issue. And there are people in this room, or perhaps not in this room, that need to look at themselves because that's the reason they're doing this. It's not appropriate.
Councillor Alex Wade, then.
I would just like to echo the sentiment of Councillor Malcolm Wade in that I'm uncomfortable with this because with respect to this meeting, the most high profile meeting I find for this council is planning. It gets the most attention with public residents, it gets the most high profile and most media coverage, and it arguably is one of the most longest and most in-depth meetings, and I have huge respect for anyone who sits on the planning committee. When you reduce numbers, you impact on, as I say, absences, possible not hitting quorum, and ensuring there's representatives from as far around the district as possible, which is so important with planning, because obviously we want to make sure it's a mix of councillors from all over the district who may have the understanding of certain areas and certain parts of it's better than others. So I, for example, would be uncomfortable supporting this, as I think at the moment there's a good enough number to sort of resolve all sort of the caveats I've mentioned. So I can't support the reduction.
Councillor Heron.
Chairman, thank you. I would draw members' attention to paragraph 2.2 that sets out what the Local Government Association Planning Advisory Service recommend. They actually recommend that this planning committee should be reduced to a maximum of 12. I think it's important in considering this that we have got a planning committee that actually represents at the moment at 1/23 of this council. I really don't think that is a sustainable way forward. I think this report and the recommendation strikes a fair balance in the fact that, we are a large council covering a large geographic area. Therefore, I don't believe that the 12 recommended by the Planning Advisory Service is correct. But I think going to 16 is an appropriate step forward and does allow to make sure that we have a manageable committee. Again, I don't think a committee that takes up 1/3 of the council is an appropriate way to continue, so I support the recommendation.
Thank you very much. Any other members wish to speak? Councillor Harrison.
Well, Chairman, I'm afraid I have to disagree with the leader. If you take, for example, the National Park Authority, half the membership are members of the planning committee, so that's 50%. I do think that planning is one of those things, as my colleague says, attracts a lot of attention. It's almost the shop window of the district council. It's a job that needs to be done with great intelligence and judgment. And unfortunately, that's not always present within the Conservative Party. And I'm very sad that we seem to be coming up with a solution that will reduce the membership because Conservative members aren't turning up. You know, when you took on the job, you knew what the job involved. And I do think that in many senses, you're letting down the community that you purport to represent. I'm afraid that on this one, we are not going to see anything other than what the leader wants once again. But I do think we are doing a great disservice to the community by reducing the numbers.
Thank you very much. Councillor Jeremy Herron.
Thank you, Chairman. It always amuses me when the opposition go on about a green agenda and then want as many people as possible to drive across the forest to attend a meeting, because they think that it will score a political point. Always interested in that one. But I think Councillor Harrison's pointed it out. There is now a national park. The district authority no longer are the planning authority for the whole of its area. And to have that level of members sitting on a planning committee that doesn't actually resolve the planning for that for the full area that it covers seems slightly ridiculous. You say that 50% of the national park sit on the planning committee, but that's 50% of the park authority that covers the whole of the park, whereas a third of the members sitting on this for an area that is not fully under our control for planning. So it's sensible that if we have two planning committees, which we now do, that we should reduce sizes and set them at sensible levels.
Councillor Brand.
Can I ask what number would make us quorate? Because there has been a number of occasions where we've attended planning and we've only just been quorate. I'm just concerned that if we lowered the level and then people don't turn up, that we could all be travelling across the forest in our cars and having to go home again because we're not enough here.
Councillor Herron.
Chairman, I would draw members to the second recommendation in the report, which I think answers her question.
Yes, we are coming on to that, are we not? Councillor Maureen Holding first, and then Councillor Alex McAvoy.
I was just going to say that we have the same number of councillors now that we had when we were covering a much larger area, yes, and it's never reduced. And I think the second point, that the quality and the care that individuals put into all the planning that goes on is far more important than counting heads. And I'm quite sure that the people that are on and staying on will do their best, as they always have done, to serve the general public.
Thank you.
And so to start talking in numbers only does not really do the planning committee justice, because there is a lot of thought and hard work goes on. And it's not the numbers, the quality. And in fact, really, we've kept far more numbers than we should have done, because we lost almost half of the planning area that we now cover. So it's not inadequate at all, in fact.
Thank you very much.
It's just scoring political points. And I'm sorry, we're above that.
Councillor McAvoy.
Yes, as long as my voice holds up, and I haven't got COVID, just to reassure you. It is just a comment, really, and as Councillor Moulding, I do apologise. As Councillor Holding has said, it's quality, not quantity. And I'd just like to point out, if the County Council can manage with 16 councillors on their planning committee, why does the District Council think it needs more?
Thank you very much. Right, okay. Where have we got to? Yes, okay. Members, all those in favour of recommendation 1.1, please indicate. Okay, those against? I declare that motion's carried, that item carried. Okay. Members, recommendation 1.2 deals with the quorum rules for the Cabinet committees and panels. Does any member wish to speak? No? Okay. Oh, Councillor Alex Wade.
Just a quick clarification. If the quorum is going to be free, does that effectively leave us in a position on panels where it could be the chair, vice chair, and just one other panel member for the meeting to go ahead? Thank you for your clarification. I'm going to become unpopular then. For me, that's just too little to have an effective panel meeting. Particularly, obviously, we have them quarterly for the ones that I sit on, and I'll be honest with you, I find the numbers that sit on there very productive. But I think 3 is too small for such important business. So even if it was remained half at 5, for example, I'd be more supportive. Apologies if I ever say I misunderstood.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Heron?
Yeah, I just want to qualify. Remember, the quorum is 3 members or 1/4 of the panel committee, whichever is greater. So, of course, if you had a panel of more than 12, you would need more than 3.
Okay, thank you for that. Right. Oh, Councillor Harrison again.
Chairman, I'm minded to agree with the recommendation. Subject to opposition members chairing the panels. Agreed?
Nice try. Okay, Councillor.
Actually, Chairman, there is a point to this. Because if we reduce the quorum, and as all the chairs and vice chairs are members of the ruling group, you reduce the possibility of democratic discussion. If you can have a meeting with just 3 members, really? But the chairman, vice chairman, and one other. You know, let's be realistic about it. There is a valid point about the democratic discussion, a different view, because you don't want a lot of nodding, of course you do, sorry. Anyway, but no, I think they're making a very valid point. If you're cutting down the numbers, I understand to do business, you would want to continue with a minimum number, but there is an issue about democratic representation, and I think that's worth taking that in account.
Thank you very much for that. Anyone else? No, Councillor Heron.
Can I just respond to that, Chairman? I think that the Councillor Wade makes an important point, and I think the important point there is that opposition members need to make sure that they turn up to the panel and committee members, of which they are notified of the date well over a year in advance.
Councillor McAvoy.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I'd like to say to Councillor Wade, if you'd like better democratic accountability, perhaps you ought to try and get more people to vote Liberal Democrat at elections.
I'll do that. Okay. Any other members? Yes. Councillor Rackham.
Thank you. This really concerns me because actually what we're talking about is less than half of the members of some of these committees. And really, we ought to be looking again at what we're doing here. If less than half is permissible to turn up to these meetings, I think it's a disgrace.
I don't think this is an aim. This is just the lowest number that might turn up. I mean, we're not expecting numbers like that. Councillor Clark.
Just like to remind everybody that we're all accountable to our own public, and our attendance at committees is published and is available to every member of the public, and I'm quite happy for my attendance to be scrutinised at any time.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, well, that's good discussion. Now, we're going to move on then to the vote. Members, all those in favour of recommendation 1.2, please indicate. Okay, any against? Smaller number, so that item has been passed. Thank you. Members, that takes us to the allocation of seats to committees and panels. The wishes of the political groups have been circulated to all members. Does any member wish to speak? Okay, good. Members, all those in favour of the allocation of seats, please indicate. Thank you. Any against? No. Good. That's passed as well then. Thank you. Agenda item 12. Any other items which the chairman decides are urgent? There are none. I therefore thank everyone for attending, wish you all a peaceful and enjoyable festive period, and I declare the meeting closed.